The morning sun rose gently over Windsor Castle, its ancient towers standing tall against the brightening sky. The air was calm, carrying the soft scent of roses from Queen Camilla's cherished garden. For generations, the royal family had ruled with dignity and grace, their bloodline a symbol of continuity and stability for the people of Britain. King Charles III sat in his study, reviewing reports of the kingdom's affairs. Though his hair had grayed and his face bore the lines of experience, his mind remained sharp. He ruled with the wisdom inherited from his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, and carried a deep sense of duty to his people. By his side was Queen Camilla, her presence a calming force in the castle. She often reminded him that a kingdom's strength lay not just in power, but in the hearts of its people. Prince William, the heir to the throne, had grown into a strong and determined man. He was loved by the people, admired for his compassion and sense of responsibility. Alongside him was his wife, Princess Kate, whose grace and intelligence had endeared her to the kingdom. Together, they were the future, the hope of a new generation. But even in the most peaceful times, trouble has a way of creeping in. Whispers of unrest had reached Windsor from nearby villages, a name spoken with both laughter and fear: Seth Rogen. He was known for his sharp wit and unpredictable nature, a jester who delighted in turning order into chaos. In small towns and market squares, his laughter carried a dangerous edge, leaving confusion and doubt in its wake. One evening, as the sun set in shades of gold and pink, William stood on the castle's highest balcony, gazing at the horizon. His thoughts were troubled, his heart heavy with the burden of responsibility. A rider approached on horseback, his cloak dusty from travel. He bore a letter marked with a curious seal, a grinning face that seemed to mock the seriousness of the kingdom's affairs. William broke the seal and read the words carefully. "Dear royal family of Britain, a kingdom as noble as yours deserves a little fun, don't you think? I look forward to sharing my talents with you all very soon. Prepare yourselves, for laughter and tears await. Warm regards, Seth Rogen." William's brow furrowed. The message dripped with mischief, its tone playful yet threatening. He could almost hear the man's laughter between the lines. He rushed inside, seeking the counsel of his father. In the study, King Charles read the letter with a grave expression. "Seth Rogen," he murmured. "I've heard of his tricks. A man who plays with people's minds and hearts, leaving confusion in his wake. We must be prepared." Queen Camilla placed a comforting hand on William's shoulder. "My dear, we have always faced challenges with courage. This man seeks to test us, but we must remain united. He thrives on division." William nodded, his resolve hardening. "We cannot let him sow doubt among our people. I will stand watch and protect what is ours." King Charles's eyes shone with pride. "That is the duty of a future king. But remember, William, his greatest weapon is not his laughter. It is his ability to turn our own fears against us." Outside, the evening air grew cold, and the wind carried a sense of unease. Seth Rogen's challenge had been delivered, and the royal family knew the days ahead would be anything but peaceful. The dawn mist still clung to the grounds of Windsor Castle as the household stirred to life. Guards changed their posts, maids prepared the morning fires, and the scent of tea and toast wafted through the halls. Yet beneath the castle's steady rhythm, an air of unease spread like a quiet fog. Prince William could feel it deep in his chest, a weight he couldn't ignore. He sat with Queen Camilla in her sunlit sitting room. She poured tea with her usual grace, her steady hands a source of comfort. William's gaze, however, remained on the window overlooking the main gates. "Mother," he said, his voice low, "I can't help but feel that Seth Rogen's letter was more than just a joke. There's something dangerous in his words." Queen Camilla set down her teacup, her eyes soft but serious. "William, Your instincts have always served you well. A man like Seth Rogen, he's not here to amuse us. He's here to challenge us, to test our unity. We mustn't let him succeed." Just then, a commotion outside drew William's attention. He rose quickly and crossed to the window, peering down into the courtyard below. A crowd had gathered at the gates, their voices buzzing like bees. William's heart tightened as he saw a man standing at the threshold, a wide grin on his face, curly hair tumbling beneath a worn cap. It was Seth Rogen. He stood casually, arms spread wide as if greeting old friends. "Good morning, Windsor," he called out, his voice warm and disarming. "I've come to share my talents with the most dignified family in Britain. Surely there's room for a little laughter in this grand old castle." William's jaw clenched. He turned to Queen Camilla, his resolve hardening. "Stay here, mother," he said. "I'll handle this." With swift steps, he descended the castle steps, guards flanking him on either side. As he approached the gates, the crowd parted, eyes wide with curiosity and uncertainty. Seth Rogen met William's gaze with an almost childlike innocence. "Your Royal Highness," he exclaimed, bowing dramatically. "How gracious of you to welcome a humble entertainer to your gates." William stopped a few paces away, his expression cool. "You were not invited," he said firmly, "and your presence here is not welcome. Leave now before you bring harm to this kingdom." Seth chuckled, tapping his fingers against his chin. "Ah, but harm is such a heavy word. I bring only joy, a few laughs to brighten the day. Tell me, Prince William, when was the last time you truly laughed?" William's eyes narrowed. "This kingdom has no room for your games," he replied, his voice calm but sharp. "We've heard of your schemes, the chaos you leave behind. We will not be your next target." Seth sighed theatrically and looked around at the gathering crowd. "Chaos?" he asked, feigning surprise. "Why, I only seek to remind people that laughter and fear are two sides of the same coin. A kingdom that cannot handle a little jest is weaker than it thinks." The guards moved to escort him away, but Seth held up his hands. "No need for swords and threats," he said, his grin unwavering. "If you wish me gone, I shall go. But know this, Prince William, the seeds of laughter have already been planted. Even the mightiest kingdom cannot stop what has already begun." He turned dramatically, his cloak swirling around him, and walked slowly down the road. The crowd watched in silence, torn between confusion and unease. William watched him go, his chest tight with worry. Seth's words echoed in his mind. The seeds have already been planted. He knew that no matter how many guards he stationed or how many gates he locked, Seth's mischief would find a way to slip through the cracks. He turned to his captain of the guard. "Double the watch at every entrance," he ordered. "No one enters without my permission. And find out who among us might be tempted by his words. We cannot afford to let him divide us." As the captain bowed and hurried off, William glanced back at the retreating figure of Seth Rogen. The jester had left the gates, but his presence lingered like a stain on the air. Windsor Castle and the entire kingdom would never be the same. The day after Seth Rogen's unsettling visit to Windsor Castle began like any other, birds singing, sunlight streaming through the ancient windows. Yet beneath the calm, an uneasy tension settled like a hidden mist. Prince William rose early, determined to show strength in the face of uncertainty. He reviewed the castle's security plans with the captain of the guard, checking every detail himself. At the morning council, King Charles III listened intently as William recounted the jester's visit. "He's no mere performer, father," William insisted, his brow furrowed. "His words are poison. I fear he's planting doubts in the minds of our people, and perhaps even in the minds of those we trust." King Charles's eyes were sharp as he regarded his son. "Your mother and I have faced many tests," he said calmly. A kingdom's strength lies not only in its armies, but in its unity. We must remain steadfast. Queen Camilla, always the voice of gentle wisdom, reached across the table. William, Seth Rogen's greatest weapon is confusion. He wants you to question those closest to you. Don't let him succeed. William nodded, but the seeds of doubt had already taken root. That afternoon, he walked the castle grounds, determined to reassure the staff and soldiers. His footsteps echoed in the grand corridors, stone and history pressing in around him. It was in the courtyard near the old rose garden that the first trick unfolded. A group of servants had gathered around a small table, their eyes wide with amusement and confusion. William approached, curious. There, in the center of the table, sat a small wooden box, its lid slightly ajar. From within, a soft, musical tinkling drifted upward, a melody so sweet it seemed almost innocent. "What is this?" William asked, his tone cautious. One of the maids looked up, her eyes bright. "Your Highness, it arrived this morning. No one knows who sent it. It's charming, isn't it?" William's stomach clenched. He leaned closer, listening to the tune, a gentle lullaby that seemed to tug at his heart. Then, without warning, the melody shifted. It grew louder, discordant, the notes twisting into a sharp, jarring cacophony. The maids gasped, stepping back as the box rattled and spat a small puff of smoke. A scroll burst from the box, unrolling with a flourish. The words, written in bold, mocking script, read, "Dear royal family, even the simplest tune can lead to chaos. Remember, where there's laughter, there's also doubt." Seth Rogen. William snatched the scroll, his hands trembling with anger. He glanced at the servants, who now looked at him with uncertainty in their eyes. Was this his failure? Had he let this trickster slip past his guards? He turned on his heel and stormed toward the castle. "Captain," he barked, finding the guard near the main gate. "Seal every entrance. Search every package, every letter, every delivery. No one is to pass through these gates without thorough inspection." The captain nodded, but William could see the concern in his eyes. Seth Rogen's message had done more than frighten a few servants. It had rattled the very foundation of trust within the castle walls. Inside the great hall, William found Queen Camilla and King Charles waiting. He handed them the scroll, his jaw set. "He's here, Father," he said, "not just outside our gates, but in the minds of our people. He wants to divide us, to make us doubt each other." King Charles read the words carefully, then set the scroll down with deliberate calm. "Then we must not let him," he said firmly. "He can twist our songs, but he cannot break our unity." Queen Camilla nodded. "We stand together," she said, her voice gentle but resolute. "That is the only way we will overcome this." William took a deep breath, his resolve renewed. Seth Rogen might have begun his game, but the royal family would not let him win. As the days passed, Windsor Castle remained on high alert. Guards doubled their patrols, servants whispered of shadows in the halls, and the laughter that once rang through the castle now seemed forced, hollow. Prince William felt the weight of the kingdom pressing down on his shoulders. Every time he closed his eyes, Seth Rogen's mocking grin haunted his thoughts. One afternoon, William sat in the council chamber with King Charles III and Queen Camilla, studying reports of suspicious behavior among the staff. "He's clever," William muttered, frustration clouding his tone. "He's turning my own people against me without lifting a finger." King Charles rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "He's sowing doubt, William. That's his greatest trick. We cannot allow ourselves to become paranoid. A kingdom divided is a kingdom defeated." Queen Camilla leaned forward, her eyes full of compassion. "William, we must trust each other. Seth Rogen wants us to doubt those closest to us. He wants to make us question every glance, every word. but we cannot let him win that way." Despite her gentle counsel, William couldn't ignore the growing unease among the castle staff. At dinner, he noticed the kitchen maid, normally bright and cheerful, avoiding his gaze. A footman spilled a tray of wine and fumbled his apology, his face pale. Even the captain of the guard hesitated when giving his nightly report, as if afraid of his own words. It was during one of his evening walks in the gardens that William first saw the cracks forming. A cluster of guards stood near the west wall, deep in hushed conversation. As he approached, they straightened abruptly. "Your Highness," one of them stammered, "we were just discussing patrol routes." William's eyes narrowed. Patrol routes at this hour? He noticed a scrap of parchment peeking from one guard's pocket. "What is that?" he demanded. The guard's face paled. "It's nothing, Your Highness," he said quickly, but his voice trembled. William snatched the parchment and unrolled it. The words, scrawled in a playful yet sinister hand, read, "Remember, laughter conquers even the strongest walls. The game has just begun. Seth Rogen." William's stomach twisted. Seth had found a way to infiltrate his own guards, planting seeds of doubt and fear. Who else had received such notes? How deep did the trickster's influence run? He turned on the guard, his voice sharp. "How long have you had this?" The guard looked terrified. "I swear, Your Highness, I didn't read it. It was slipped into my pocket during the night watch. I don't know who—" William clenched his jaw. "Report to the captain. I want every guard questioned, every servant, every scribe. No one is above suspicion now." Later, in the quiet of his chambers, William sat alone by the fireplace. The flames flickered, casting dancing shadows on the stone walls. He thought of Seth Rogen's smile, so easy, so deceptive. And he thought of his people, the same people who had always trusted him, now looking at him with uncertain eyes. A soft knock broke his thoughts. Queen Camilla entered, her face lined with concern. She crossed to him, resting a hand on his shoulder. "William," she whispered, "you are not alone in this. Your father and I stand with you. Kate stands with you. Seth Rogen wants to break your faith in others. Don't let him." William looked up at her, his eyes tired but resolute. "I know, Mother," he said softly, "but I fear he's already begun to turn us against each other." Camilla's hand tightened. "Then we must hold on to what binds us. Family, loyalty, and love. That is how we will defeat him." William nodded slowly. In that moment, he understood. Seth Rogen's greatest scheme was not an explosion or an assassination. It was division, and it was up to him to keep the royal family and the kingdom united. The night had deepened over Windsor Castle, casting long shadows through its ancient halls. Queen Camilla walked the corridors with a sense of unease pressing at her heart. Ever since Seth Rogen's twisted games had begun, the castle felt different, less secure, less familiar. Whispers seemed to echo in the air, and the servants' eyes darted nervously, as if they feared their own thoughts. She had always prided herself on her intuition. As queen consort, she'd learned to listen, not just to the words people spoke, but also to the silences between them. It was in those quiet moments that truths revealed themselves. Tonight, she followed that instinct. She made her way to the Royal Archives, a place she often visited in the evenings when she couldn't sleep. The room smelled of old books and secrets, the walls lined with scrolls and tomes that told the story of the royal bloodline. As she lit a lantern, the flickering light cast strange shapes on the shelves. Her eyes scanned the ledgers, bills of trade, treaties, correspondence. It was then that she noticed a document slightly out of place, its seal broken. She frowned and pulled it from the shelf. It was a letter addressed to King Charles III, marked urgent, but the handwriting was unfamiliar. She unfolded it carefully. The words inside made her blood run cold. "Your Majesty, I have been a loyal servant for many years, but now I see the truth. Prince William cannot be trusted. He conspires to seize the throne before his time. Already he sows fear among the guards, questioning their loyalty. I beg you to be cautious and watch him closely. A kingdom divided is easy prey." A concerned loyalist. Queen Camilla felt her hands tremble. The signature was a lie. She recognized the writing style, the way the letters danced with a playful tilt. It was Seth Rogen's work. He was trying to drive a wedge between father and son, to twist suspicion into betrayal. She pressed a hand to her chest, steadying her breathing. She knew she had to act quickly. She slipped the letter into her cloak and left the archives, her footsteps quiet against the stone floors. As she rounded a corner, she nearly collided with Prince William, who was deep in thought. "Mother?" he asked, surprised. "What are you doing here at this hour?" She took his hand, her eyes intense. "William, Seth Rogen is playing a dangerous game. He's trying to make your father doubt you. Look at this." She handed him the letter. William read it, his jaw tightening. "He's trying to poison our family against each other," he said bitterly. "I thought he would come at us with jokes and riddles, but this is far worse." Queen Camilla nodded. "He knows that suspicion can be more dangerous than any weapon. We cannot let him succeed." William's eyes burned with determination. "We have to tell father. He must know this is a lie." Camilla hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but we must tread carefully. Seth wants us to react rashly, to turn on each other. We need to show him that our bond is stronger than his tricks." Together they made their way to King Charles's study. The king sat at his desk, reading by the glow of a lamp. He looked up as they entered, concern etching his features. "Father," William said, holding out the letter, "you need to see this. Seth Rogen is trying to turn us against one another." King Charles read the letter, his face darkening. "This man plays with fire," he said grimly, "but he underestimates the strength of this family. We will not let him destroy what we have built." Queen Camilla placed a hand on his arm. "We stand together," she said, "always." King Charles met their eyes and nodded. "Then let him try. He will find us ready." And in that moment, the royal family knew that whatever Seth Rogen planned next, they would face it as one. The next morning dawned gray and cold, a heavy fog clinging to the towers of Windsor Castle. Though the family had vowed to remain united, the weight of Seth Rogen's schemes had begun to seep into the castle's very walls. Rumors twisted like ivy through the corridors, and even the smallest glance between family members now carried a question. "Can I trust you?" Prince William tried to stay focused. He spent hours with the
guards, reviewing their patrols and listening to their concerns. But every time he turned a corner, he caught worried whispers, staff exchanging fearful looks, or a maid glancing away too quickly. Seth Rogen's laughter echoed in his mind, taunting him with every step.
During an afternoon meeting in the Great Hall, King Charles III gathered his closest advisors, along with William and Queen Camilla. Princess Kate sat beside William, her brow furrowed with concern. "We cannot let this man drive us apart," King Charles said firmly, but his voice trembled slightly at the edges. An advisor, Lord Spencer, cleared his throat. "Your Majesty, some of the guards have come to me with concerns. They say Prince William has become too harsh, too suspicious. They wonder if he might—" He trailed off, unable to meet William's gaze. William's jaw clenched. "Father, you know I only want to protect the kingdom. Seth Rogen has turned even our own men against us. How can I trust them if they doubt me?" King Charles looked pained, his eyes flickering between his son and the advisor. "I know your heart, William, but fear is a powerful weapon. We cannot let it cloud our judgment." Queen Camilla reached for William's hand. "We are stronger together," she said gently. "That is what Seth fears most, that we remain united." But even as she spoke, the seeds of doubt sprouted in William's mind. He thought of the letter Queen Camilla had found, the one Seth had written to make the king doubt him. What if there were more letters, more lies? Could he truly trust everyone in the room? Later that evening, William and Kate walked alone through the gardens, the mist swirling around them. "Kate," he said softly, his voice breaking, "I don't know who to trust anymore. Every face looks like it's hiding something." Kate stopped and turned to him, her eyes full of compassion. "William, listen to me. Seth Rogen wants you to feel alone. That's his plan, to isolate you so he can break you. But you are not alone. I am here. Your mother and father are here. We stand with you." William closed his eyes, drawing strength from her words. But as they stood in the fog, a rustle of leaves made him jump. A figure emerged from the shadows, a guard, his face pale and eyes downcast. "Your Highness," he said nervously, William stepped forward. "What is it?" The guard hesitated. I overheard some of the staff talking. They said," he gulped, "they said you might be planning to take the throne before your father is ready to step aside." William's heart sank. The doubt he had fought so hard to keep at bay now surged in his chest. "Who told you this?" he demanded. "I don't know," the guard stammered. "It's just talk, just rumors." William turned to Kate, his voice trembling with anger and grief. "Seth Rogen is winning. He's turned even my own people against me." Kate gripped his hand. "Then we must fight him together. We must show them that we stand as one." In that moment, William realized that Seth's greatest victory would be if he gave in to his fears, if he let suspicion drive him to betray those he loved most. He vowed then and there that he would not let Seth Rogen's laughter break the royal bloodline's strength. But deep down, he knew the real battle had just begun. The next evening brought with it a restless wind that rattled the castle's windows and whistled through its ancient halls. Windsor Castle, once a place of strength and unity, felt different now, its shadows deeper, its echoes more sinister. Prince William felt it too. Seth Rogen's poison had seeped into every corner, dividing hearts and planting seeds of fear. In the quiet of his chamber, William sat hunched over a small table, the glow of a single candle dancing on his troubled face. He thought of his father, King Charles III, burdened with worries of a divided kingdom. He thought of Queen Camilla's gentle warnings and of Princess Kate's unwavering loyalty. Yet, doubt still gnawed at him. Seth Rogen's schemes had turned his own people against him. How could he fight back against a foe who used laughter and whispers as weapons? A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. William looked up sharply as a young squire entered, his eyes darting nervously. "Your Highness," he whispered, "there's something you must see." William rose, curiosity and caution entwined in his chest. "Show me," he ordered. The squire led him down a narrow corridor, deeper into the castle's underbelly. Here the walls were damp with age, and the flickering torchlight barely reached the cobwebbed corners. At the end of the passage a door stood ajar, light spilling from within. Inside, William found a small group huddled together, guards, kitchen staff, stable hands, all of them looking up in alarm at his entrance. At their center stood a familiar figure, Sir Thomas, one of William's most trusted knights. "Your Highness," Sir Thomas said, stepping forward, his voice low and urgent. "Forgive the secrecy, but we had no choice. Seth Rogen's influence is spreading faster than we can contain it. Some of the guards have started to believe his lies. Some even think you're plotting against your father." William's heart clenched. "I know," he said heavily. "I've seen it in their eyes. But what is this?" He gestured at the gathering. Sir Thomas straightened his shoulders. A rebellion of sorts, but one loyal to you, to the real royal bloodline. We're the ones who refuse to let this kingdom fall to Seth Rogen's tricks. We share information, root out his supporters, and expose his lies. But we can't do it alone. A murmur of agreement rose from the group. A kitchen maid, her face pale but determined, stepped forward. We've seen his notes, his gifts, his smiles. He's trying to make us doubt the royal family, but we won't let him. We trust you, Your Highness. William felt a swell of gratitude, his resolve hardening. You are all brave, he said, and I am proud to have you by my side. We will root out Seth Rogen's tricks together, but we must move carefully. He wants us to act rashly. We can't give him that satisfaction. Sir Thomas nodded. Agreed. We will meet here in secret until we know who we can trust. Every letter, every visitor. Nothing escapes our watch. We will not let this kingdom fall. William looked around at the faces gathered. Ordinary people who had chosen loyalty over fear. He knew now that Seth Rogen's schemes might be clever, but they could never break the bond that united those who believed in the crown. Then let's begin, he said firmly. Find me every letter that's come into this castle, every rumor, every whisper. We'll expose Seth Rogen's lies for what they are. He will see that laughter cannot defeat a kingdom united in loyalty and love. And so, in the cold depths of Windsor Castle, the seeds of resistance took root. Seth Rogen might have thought his laughter was unstoppable, but he had not counted on the strength of those who would stand against him in the shadows. A cold wind rattled the ancient windows of Windsor Castle that night, carrying with it the scent of rain and a sense of foreboding. In the dim glow of the council chamber, Prince William pored over reports with furrowed brows. Despite the loyal rebellion forming in the shadows, Seth Rogen's laughter still echoed through the castle's halls. The trickster's presence felt like a shadow that refused to leave, lurking just out of reach. Sir Thomas entered quietly, bowing his head. Your Highness, he said in a hushed voice, we've gathered the letters and notes he's left, every last one we could find. William's eyes darkened as he reached for the stack. Each note bore Seth's mocking grin, each word a dagger meant to divide. Some sowed distrust among the guards, others whispered of betrayal between father and son. But as William's eyes scanned the pile, one letter stood out, its seal different, marked with a twisted version of the royal crest. William broke the seal and read, Dear Prince William, I've saved my best for last. Tomorrow at the grand banquet, where the kingdom's eyes will be upon you, I'll reveal the truth. A truth so deep, even your father's crown will tremble. Remember, laughter conquers all. Seth Rogen. William's blood ran cold. The grand banquet, his father's celebration of unity, where nobles and allies from across the realm would gather. Seth Rogen planned to strike when the kingdom was at its most vulnerable. We must cancel the banquet, Sir Thomas urged. It's too dangerous. William shook his head. No, he said firmly. If we show fear now, Seth wins. We must confront him on our own terms and show the kingdom that we will not be cowed by his tricks. As dawn broke, Windsor Castle buzzed with activity. Servants scurried through the halls, polishing silver and arranging flowers. The great hall was filled with laughter and music, nobles arriving in fine attire, the air rich with the scent of roast meats and wine. Yet beneath the surface, tension simmered like a hidden flame. Prince William stood tall beside his father, King Charles III, and Queen Camilla. Princess Kate offered a reassuring smile, but he saw the worry in her eyes. They had all read Seth's letter. Every face in the hall could be his accomplice. Every laugh could hide a dagger. A hush fell over the room as Seth Rogen entered, a mischievous grin on his face and a flamboyant cloak draped over his shoulders. He walked as if he owned the place, bowing deeply to the king. "Your Majesties, your Highnesses," he said with exaggerated politeness, "what an honor it is to join you tonight. I trust the wine is to your liking." William stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. "Seth Rogen," he said, "you've made a game of our kingdom. You've turned laughter into a weapon, but tonight it ends." Seth's grin widened. "Ah, but that's where you're wrong, dear prince. Tonight is when the game truly begins." With a theatrical flourish, he clapped his hands. The hall went dark as candles flickered, and the sound of hidden mechanisms rattled. A hidden screen dropped from the ceiling, revealing a series of moving images, paintings, documents, and faces. Seth's voice echoed through the hall. "Behold the secrets of Windsor," he intoned. "Letters of betrayal, alliances forged in shadows, secrets even the crown would rather hide." Gasps filled the hall as the images changed. Letters forged to look like William's hand, false treaties, signatures that claimed treason. Even King Charles's eyes widened in shock. William's chest tightened. He knew at once that some of these documents were real, but twisted, edited, manipulated. Seth's greatest trick was not violence. It was doubt. He stepped forward, his voice ringing clear. "Lies," he shouted. "This is his trick to divide us. Seth Rogen uses half-truths to pit us against each other. But I stand here with my father, my mother, my wife, and I will not let him break this family." King Charles rose slowly, his face hardening. "You will not succeed, Seth Rogen," he declared. "We are stronger than your laughter, stronger than your lies." The hall erupted in a chorus of voices, some fearful, some defiant. Seth Rogen's grin faltered for just a moment. He had planned for secrets, for betrayal, but not for a family that refused to turn on one another. William stepped closer, his eyes locked on Seth's. "This kingdom is built on trust, loyalty, and love. You can twist papers and forge letters, but you cannot forge the bond we share." Seth's eyes narrowed. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. William knew then that the kingdom's greatest strength was not in its walls or its armies, but in the unity of those who believed in it. And Seth Rogen, for all his laughter, could not break that bond. The echoes of the banquet hall still rang in the air as the laughter and gasps faded into uneasy silence. The heavy wooden doors slammed shut behind Seth Rogen, who now stood alone, surrounded by a circle of guards and the watchful eyes of the royal family. The flickering torches cast harsh shadows on his face, and for the first time his grin faltered. Prince William stepped forward, his eyes steady. The weight of his family's trust rested on his shoulders, but instead of fear, he felt only purpose. "Seth Rogen," he said, his voice strong, "your games end tonight. You've twisted truths and planted doubts, but the people of this kingdom stand with us. Your laughter is a mask, and behind it is nothing but your own emptiness." Seth's smile returned, though weaker than before. "Ah, Prince William," he drawled, "so noble, so predictable. But you've always underestimated me. The truth is, laughter is stronger than swords, and tonight I will prove it." With a flick of his wrist, Seth reached into his coat and pulled out a small glass orb, swirling with a strange, shifting light. The guards tensed, hands on their swords. William's heart pounded as he recognized the device, a trickster's relic, rumored to trap illusions and lies in its depths. Seth held it high. "Behold!" he shouted. "The final trick! A kingdom divided, the royal bloodline exposed, your secrets spilled for all to see." He hurled the orb at the ground. It shattered in a blinding flash of light, and for a moment, chaos reigned. Screams rose, the air filled with a sharp, metallic smell, and a thick fog spread across the hall. In the swirling mist, William heard Seth's mocking laughter echoing in every corner. Shapes danced in the fog, visions of betrayal, images of William holding secret meetings, of Queen Camilla whispering in the dark, of King Charles signing documents he had never seen. The illusions twisted and writhed, designed to tear the family apart. "See?" Seth's voice boomed through the fog. "Even your own eyes betray you. Who can you trust now?" William clenched his fists, the roar of his pulse louder than the trickster's laughter. He felt his father's presence beside him, his mother's steady hand on his shoulder, Kate's quiet strength in his heart. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath. "This is your final trick, Seth," William shouted. "But you failed to see the truth. Illusions can be broken by the light of love and unity. My family stands together, and your lies cannot divide us." With that, he drew his sword, its steel gleaming in the torchlight. He raised it high, slicing through the fog. A beam of light split the mist, revealing the illusions for what they were: shadows, smoke, and falsehoods. Seth's laughter turned to a gasp as the illusions shattered around him. The fog dissipated, and the grand hall stood clear. King Charles III stepped forward, his eyes blazing with authority. "You have no power here, Seth Rogen," he declared. "Your laughter cannot conquer the strength of this family." Seth staggered back, his grin now a desperate grimace. "No, no, you can't." William stepped toward him, sword still in hand. "It's over," he said. "You've underestimated the bond we share. You've underestimated me." The guard surrounded Seth, his tricks undone. His hands shook as they bound him. His laughter, once so strong, now trembled, thin and empty. King Charles placed a firm hand on William's shoulder. "You have done well, my son," he said proudly. "You have shown courage, wisdom, and the strength to protect what matters most." William nodded, relief and pride washing over him. He knew the battle was not just for the crown or the kingdom, but for the trust and unity of the people he loved most. Seth Rogen, the trickster, had been defeated, but William understood that there would always be those who sought to divide, to twist laughter into poison. And so he vowed to always stand watch, to protect the royal bloodline and the kingdom it served. Dawn broke over Windsor Castle, casting golden light through the stained glass windows of the great hall. The long night of doubt and deception had ended. Seth Rogen's schemes, once so powerful, now lay shattered on the stone floor, his laughter silenced by the unwavering unity of the royal family. Prince William stood beside King Charles III and Queen Camilla, watching as the guards led Seth Rogen away in chains. The trickster's grin had vanished, replaced by a look of bitter defeat. His laughter, so potent, so dangerous, had lost its sting. King Charles turned to William, his eyes proud yet weary. "My son," he said, his voice filled with both relief and wisdom, "you have shown that strength does not come from the sword alone. It comes from loyalty, from love, from standing together even when the world tries to tear us apart." William bowed his head. "Father, I could not have done this without your guidance, or without the strength of Mother and Kate. Seth Rogen's illusions nearly divided us, but our bond proved stronger than any trick he could conjure." Queen Camilla smiled, her eyes gentle and warm. "Unity is the greatest shield against deception," she said softly. "He tried to use laughter to weaken us, but in the end, he taught us to cherish what we have." Princess Kate joined them, her expression proud and resolute. "William, you showed us that a kingdom is more than its walls and titles. It's the people who believe in it, who fight for it. And today, you fought not just with your sword, but with your heart. In the courtyard, the people of the kingdom gathered, their faces a mixture of relief and pride. They had heard the echoes of laughter, seen the shadows that Seth Rogen cast, but now they saw their prince stand tall, unwavering in his defense of the crown and its people. King Charles raised his hand, addressing the crowd. "My people," he declared, his voice carrying strength and hope. "A kingdom is built on trust, loyalty, and the bonds that unite us." Seth Rogen sought to break those bonds with his tricks, but we have shown that laughter cannot defeat the love we share. Together, we have proven that this kingdom cannot be divided. A cheer rose from the crowd, echoing off the castle walls. William looked out over the faces of the people he had sworn to protect. He saw hope, he saw trust, and he saw the resilience that had carried them through the darkness. As the sun climbed higher, washing away the last shadows of Seth's illusions, William turned to his family. "This is our kingdom," he said. "We will face every challenge, every trickster, every shadow, together. And we will never let laughter or lies break what we have built." King Charles placed a hand on his shoulder, and Queen Camilla embraced him, tears of pride in her eyes. Princess Kate stood by his side, her gaze steady and full of love. In that moment, William understood that the true strength of a kingdom did not lie in its walls or its armies, but in the hearts of those who believed in it, and in each other. Seth Rogen had tried to divide them, but he had only made their bond stronger. And as Windsor Castle stood bathed in the morning light, the royal family knew they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Their kingdom was restored, and together they would face the future unbroken.